The color guard, we would like a clear way, a clear path for them to the front. Please clear your way for the New York City Fire Department color guard. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need you to take your seats, effective immediately. We need you to clear the aisles. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for attending this wonderful event. The program is about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2017 State of the Borough Address. We are happy that you're here. And please allow me to introduce your Deputy Borough President, Mrs. Aurelia Green.
This is wonderful, wonderful. Good morning and welcome to the State of the Borough Address. On behalf of the Borough President and his staff, I'd like to thank the Bronx Arts Ensemble Band, led by Greg Diamond, for their performance today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Before we begin our program, let's take a moment to honor America with the singing of our national anthem. Our colors are presented by the New York City Fire Department Color Guard, and the anthem will be performed by FDNY Lieutenant EMT Kayla Sereniero.
send bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was wonderful. Thank you for your performance today. You make us all very proud. And now for our invocation, please welcome Rabbi Stephen Exler, Senior Rabbi at the Hebrew Institute of Riverdale.
If you, like me, are proud to be a Bronxite, let's warm up this space by putting our hands together and offering a cheer. I'm honored to be here with each of you this morning to celebrate our incredible borough and its achievements, and to recommit to the work ahead, building an even better Bronx, a model borough and community for our nation. I offer these words of prayer based upon the verse from the book of Psalms, chapter 90, verse 17. Vihi noam Adonai Eloheinu aleinu, uma'aseh adenu konana aleinu, uma'aseh adenu konanehu. God, rest your favor upon us. Establish the work of our hands. What is God's favor upon us? What does it mean for God to show us favor? The answer comes from the second half of the verse. When the work of our hands is righteous, good, and just, God's favor rests upon us. God's favor is the opportunity for our hands to do holy work. So friends, look at your hands for a moment. Let us reflect on what we do with our hands for this borough. The lives we can change by holding a child's hand, by transporting our citizens safely around this borough, by signing into law just and righteous legislation, by shaking a hand to close a deal that benefits our economy and our lives, by supporting each other with a hand in a moment of need or a moment of joy. So, God of us all, rest your favor upon our borough. Rest it upon the beauty and diversity of our natural resources. Rest it upon the beauty and diversity of our human resources, our elected officials and our government, our working people, our civil servants, our firefighters, police officers, teachers, faith leaders, and our families. Rest your favor upon our Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr., a true leader, a friend, and a role model. Establish the work of his hands and the hands of his team, for it is blessed work. Establish the work of our hands, that we may continue to build a better Bronx for ourselves, for each other, for our city, and for our nation. Amen. Amen.
Now the FDNY will retire the colors. Thank you, Rabbi. And now to recognize our distinguished guests in the audience today, please welcome our Director of External Affairs, Dirk McCall.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. We're joined by a huge number of distinguished elected officials today. First, we're joined by New York State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli. We're joined by New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer. We're joined by Queensborough President Melinda Katz. We're joined by Bronx Democratic County Leader, Assemblymember Marcos Crespo. We're joined by our wonderful Bronx District Attorney, Darcel Clark. We're joined by Congressmember Jose Serrano. We're joined by New York State Senator Marisol Alcantara. New York State Senator Jamal Bailey. New York State Assemblymember Jeffrey Dinowitz. New York State Assemblymember Victor Pichardo. New York City Councilmember Annabelle Palma. New York City Councilmember Rafael Salamanca. New York City Councilmember Jimmy Vaca. Bronx County Clerk Louis Diaz. Bronx County Public Administrator Frank Randazzo. Shirley Saunders, Bronx Deputy City Clerk. Mayor of Mount Vernon, Richard Thomas. New York State Supreme Court Justice, Administrative Judge, Civil, Douglas McKeon. New York State Supreme Court Justice, Wilma Guzman. We're joined by New York City Department of Design and Construction Commissioner Finioski Peña Mora. New York City Taxi Limousine Commissioner Mira Joshi. Former Bronx Borough President Adolfo Carrion. Former New York City Council Speaker Gifford Miller. The Chairman of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, Stephen Kaufman. Marlene Cintron, President, Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. Our very own New York City Planning Commissioner, Orlando Marin. Our new Bronx DOT Commissioner, Nivardo Lopez. Bronx Parks Commissioner, Iris Rodriguez Rosa. Assistant Commissioner for the Bronx District Public Health Office, Dr. Jane Bedell. Our very own Carol Samuel, Bronx Director for the Department of City Planning. New York Police Bronx Borough Commissioner, Larry Nakunin. FDNY Borough Commander and Deputy Chief Joseph Woznica. And all the uniformed men and women who serve the city of New York. So have a big round of applause for all of them. Department of Sanitation Chief of Cleaning Operations Paul Visconti. Department of Sanitation Bronx Borough Chief of Operations Steve Buculo. Board of Regents Chancellor Betty Rosa. Deputy Chancellor for English Language Learners Melody Baez. We're joined by a number of distinguished leaders of Bronx colleges, starting with Bronx Community College President Thomas Sek-Enegbi. President David Gomez, Hostos Community College. Our new president of Lehman College, Jose Luis Cruz. Timothy Hall, President of Mercy College. Vinton Thompson, President of Metropolitan College of New York. We're joined by Bobby Murray, Business Agent for Local 1, the Plumbers, and the President for the Bronx Board of Business Agents. We're joined by Judy Sheridan Gonzalez, President of the New York State Nurses Association. We're joined by President Anthony Wells, President of Local 371 Service Employees Union. We're also joined by our New York State head of the IDC and Senator Jeff Klein. Big round of applause for Jeff Klein. Our Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer. And State Senator Gustavo Rivera. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dirk. I would also like to take a moment to thank some of our partners who helped make this event possible. They include the New York Botanical Garden, BronxNet, the New York Police Department, the Fire Department of New York, and the Bronx County Historical Society. We'd also like to thank our hosts, the school that make up the community here at John F. Kennedy High School campus, for their hospitality. Before the borough president comes to the stage, we'd like to take a few moments to hear some welcoming remarks from Kirsten Lawson, principal of the Marble Hill School for International Studies, one of the schools that calls this building home.
Good morning. It is my honor to welcome all of our distinguished guests, from our Bronx residents to all of the elected city and state officials, FDNY and NYPD members, CUNY presidents, Ms. Jallo, JFK colleagues, Department of Education representatives, members of the press, and last but not least, the Honorable Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz, to the JFK campus for the State of the Borough address. My name is Kirsten Larson. I am the principal of the first small school in the JFK campus that opened in 2002, Marble Hill School for International Studies. The JFK campus has since expanded to now contain 7 small schools. Yes, 7. 5 of which are public: Ellis Preparatory Academy, Beta Engineering Technology Academy, Bronx Law and Finance, Bronx Theater. 2 are charter, New Visions Charter for Humanities, and New Visions Charter High School for Advanced Math and Science. Remembering all these names is tough, as you can see. And we also have a YABC, a Young Adult Borough Center, that opened in 2004. Each school has a different focus, but we are united in our goal of providing a safe, nurturing, and rigorous academic environment to help prepare all 3,100 plus students on this campus for their future. JFK has seen many changes since it opened on September 11th, 1972. Some quite challenging, like the explosion of our newly renovated science labs 2 summers ago, to some very positive improvements, like the arrival of the Columbia Presbyterian Full-Service Clinic, our newly renovated auditorium you are now sitting in, to the beautifully renovated library Bronx Borough President Diaz helped fund. Through all of these events and changes, our campus council has worked together and received incredible support from the borough and city officials and agencies and the Bronx Borough President Diaz. Raised and educated in the Bronx, a proud graduate of Lehman College and a devoted husband and father of 2 sons, President Diaz knows the history and the needs of the Bronx. Since he took office in 2009, he has been a dedicated supporter of education, economic development, housing, and public safety, always striving to innovate while improving life for all Bronx residents. I thank you all for coming to the JFK campus today to hear the State of the Borough address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Lawson. I'd also like to announce that we've been joined by Assemblyman Mark Jonai. And now I'd like to introduce for the 8th time since he became borough president, my partner in government and my friend, here to deliver his annual State of the Borough address. Ladies and gentlemen, our borough president, Ruben Diaz Jr.
Wow, good morning everyone. Let's give a strong round of applause to my partner at Borough Hall, the Deputy Borough President, Aurelia Green. Still going strong. I also want to thank Principal Lawson for hosting us today. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate the fact that you've all come out here. Certainly want to give a special shout out to my colleagues, the 2 borough presidents, one from Queens, Melinda Katz, thank you for being here. Let's give Melinda another round of applause. And Gail Brewer from Manhattan. I know that there has been a lot of recognition here today, but I have to tell you that there are some women in my life that are here. As always, I want to acknowledge them. Without getting the cowboy a little too jealous here, let's give my dad, State Senator Reverend Diaz, another strong round of applause. Looking sharp and colorful. We're here joined with my sister, retired sergeant from the NYPD, Damaris Diaz. The person who gave me life. Mami, bendición mami, se te quiere de gratis. My mom, Hilda Vega. I have 2 surprises before I get to the love of my life. I have my sister-in-law, Rosemary, and my niece, Brianna, who are here. Could you please stand up? Thank you for coming. This is Brianna's first time. Second time. And of course, the love of my life. We all know Hilda, the first lady of the Bronx. Honey, thank you for being here once again. So nearly 77 years ago, my predecessor, James Lyons, planted a flag, a Bronx flag, just a few blocks from here, and declared Marble Hill part of the borough it is connected to, the Bronx. Now, believe it or not, the county line that separates Manhattan from the Bronx runs through the middle of this very same room. Today, we bridge that divide. And while Gail Brewer might feel a little differently, there she brought her flag. Yeah, Gail. Don't worry, we'll get it back. I agree with Borough President Lyons and so many others, Gail, who have dedicated themselves to the reunification of this neighborhood. So, welcome to the Bronx. For nearly 8 years, my office and our partners have developed and executed policies of equity and smart services, making the Bronx an even better place for all of its residents. Last year, if you recall, I stood before you and announced several initiatives that have come to fruition. We said we would provide lawyers for tenants in court. We did. We said we would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We did. We said we would bring EBT usage online. We did. We said we would stop the regressive bag tax. We did. We said we would obtain the funding to rebuild Orchard Beach. We did. We've created jobs, increased wages, improved the health and well-being of our residents, and provided our schools with much-needed capital funding. Of course, None of this would have been possible without the collaboration of all of the elected officials who are here today. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me thank with a round of applause all of the elected officials and my partners in government. Thank you. Investing in our youth is essential for building a bright future, and we take this responsibility seriously. This year, my office provided millions of capital dollars into schools at every grade level, from classroom upgrades at our elementary schools to a new technology center at my alma mater, Lehman College. We funded the renovation of the football field, technology upgrades, and a brand new library, as you heard earlier, right here on this campus. We created new service opportunities for our kids through the Bronx Youth Corps, a leadership training and volunteer program we partnered on with DreamYard, MS390, and Wetco. There we are encouraging our youth to find the best in themselves and to become leaders who affect positive changes in their communities. Students in this program have already beautified Railroad Park and Melrose and are planning additional impactful service. And we have also expanded employment opportunities. Companies of all sizes have relocated here. We are now home to a growing and diverse group of industry leaders, including grocery delivery, film and television production, stout beer, and of course, the Bronx hot sauce. Nearly 100,000 more Bronxites have jobs today than they did in May of 2009. And since then, working with Marlene Sindrong and the BOEDC, we've seen unemployment down by more than half, and our labor force participation has increased by 13%. Billions of dollars in new public and private investments have made its way to the Bronx. Arthur Avenue was recognized as one of the greatest streets in our nation by the American Planning Association. And Kingsbridge was named the hottest neighborhood in the city by StreetEasy.com, Gail. The New York Times declared the South Bronx one of its top places to visit in the entire world. Now think about that for a minute. 20 years ago, such accolades would have been unfathomable. We are an international success story, in no small part thanks to the public-private partnerships that have brought us critical new funding. For example, the New York State Regional Economic Development Council has awarded over $58 million to our borough across 80 projects over the last 6 years. New housing has also helped to support our economic growth. Since 2009, we have leveraged $1.6 billion toward the creation of over 6,100 affordable units across 68 projects, mostly for low-income families. Significant infrastructure funding buttresses our progress. I say that because the planning stages for the Metro North expansion has begun. Ferry service is finally coming to Soundview, and we are planning the future of the Sheridan Expressway. Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, the New York State Assembly with its Speaker, Carl Hastie, have partnered with my office to allocate $50 million in capital funds for the renovation of the historic Orchard Beach Pavilion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tremendous first step towards the complete redevelopment and revitalization the Bronx Riviera deserves. And finally, the Kingsbridge Armory is moving forward. In January, Governor Cuomo announced an additional $108 million in state financing for the Kingsbridge National Ice Center. This project now has the necessary funding thanks to the governor's continued commitment to our borough. So let's hurry up and let's get it done. We're also bringing a new state-of-the-art YMCA to Edenwald, thanks to with Speaker Hasty. We're bringing a baseball academy to Roberto Clemente State Park with Harlem RBI and Major League Baseball. We're bridging the digital divide thanks to new Wi-Fi kiosks rolling out in neighborhoods all over the Bronx. Through our newly created Anti-Poverty Task Force, we are tackling social-economic disadvantage head-on, thanks to the efforts of Assemblymember Marcos Crespo and the entire Bronx delegation. Our streets are safer, our businesses are thriving, our new housing stock is the envy of the nation. Yes, we have seen considerable improvements. However, life is not perfect, not in our borough and certainly not in our city. Homelessness is at a record high. Our public housing is in crisis. Our criminal justice system needs a major overhaul. And mental health care in the city is failing many of our residents. Our children sit in overcrowded classrooms, and large communities of the city are grossly underrepresented in our best high schools and most advanced placement classes. Services and amenities that are abundant in other boroughs are lacking here, and despite having world-class hospitals, our borough's health indicators have been slow to improve. See, I believe that we can do even better for our borough. And in so many areas, however, we are on the right track. Our efforts in housing have yielded considerable progress. Smart planning requires new affordable housing units and preserving our existing housing stock. This year alone, my office allocated millions in capital funding for housing to create over 850 new units. With HUD, we co-hosted a forum for hundreds of our constituents, teaching them how to find and apply for affordable housing. We've been making sure that Bronxites benefit from new housing opportunities in our borough. This year, we will continue to advocate for and inform the conversation around the future of the Jerome Avenue corridor. The rezoning the city has proposed must minimize displacement of the businesses and residents in that neighborhood. We will not allow anyone to dramatically change the entire West Bronx without real assurances that these plans will work for the existing population. We cannot create new opportunities for development without providing true affordability, as well as job training and certification programs for our auto workers that work there. We need to also provide strong protections for tenants, such as landlord certificates of no harassment. Our homeless population is at an all-time high, and yet the city has not been able to stem the tide of increasing homelessness. I say this because more than 60,000 individuals are homeless in our city every night, including more than 24,000 who are children. Bureaucratic red tape keeps families out of available homes for months, and the shelter siting process has become mired in politics. When the city does find homes for those who need them, they are not sufficiently regulated for safety. I mean, where are the ambitious initiatives to stop the problem in its tracks right now? I believe that we are moving in the wrong direction as it relates to homelessness. We got to develop solutions, and permanent supportive housing is key to preventing recurring homelessness. I say this, and I'm proud that my office has put considerable funding into creating permanent supportive housing. leveraging more my capital budget to bringing over $400 million in such development to our borough, building nearly 1,400 units. For instance, with Acacia, we built 51 units of supportive housing on Westchester Avenue. La Central in the hub will include 160 units for individuals living with HIV/AIDS. True Colors in Bedford Park will host 31 units for our LGBT youth. We are doing our share for the formerly homeless. We must continue to build more low-income housing and provide families and individuals with the resources they need to prevent homelessness. That is why I support Queens Assembly Member Andrew Hevesey's Home Stability Support Plan, which would give rent subsidies to those in danger of losing their homes. I mean, isn't it cheaper to help someone with their rent, to provide them with the stability of their home, rather than to put them up in some fancy Times Square hotel for $600 a night? Isn't that just common sense? Furthermore, the city must initiate an aggressive reform in our broken shelter system to provide humane, clean, and safe spaces for our most vulnerable residents during their difficult times. We cannot accept another catastrophe like the one we saw this past December, where a faulty radiator killed 2 small children in Hunts Point in their city-provided housing. City Council members Rafael Salamanca and I have partnered on new legislation designed to prevent the city from leasing space to house the homeless in buildings that have serious outstanding violations or stop work orders. Basic human dignity requires that our homeless have appropriate housing, and the wallets of slumlords should not get fat on taxpayer dollars. The city must also do more for those who live in the New York City Housing Authority and call it their home. NYCHA residents deserve the same dignity and respect that any of us would demand. That includes cleanliness, safety, and comfort. Now, more than 2 years ago, I met with residents at the Patterson houses at their community center. And it was there that I heard their concerns, and I was able to allocate $200,000 for the renovation of that community center. I also was there and we discussed the problems regarding safety and maintenance and of their development. And at the time, the residents also reported to me that the development did not have a boiler and that they were forced to use unreliable temporary boilers to heat their buildings in the winter. Now you fast forward, more than 2 years later, those same temporary boilers are still in use. I mean, nothing has changed. NYCHA needs to be more responsive to tenant needs. We must consider new ideas. I mean, how can the city do a better job at making timely repairs? How can we address the disproportionately high crime rates in public housing? How can we make NYCHA a better place to live? To address these issues, my NYCHA task force has met with tenant leaders from all over the Bronx in our borough and is developing a strategy plan for the future of public safety in public housing. We have already learned from tenant leaders at the task force's first hearing that security systems are not working and that residents are not getting the services that they need. Our multi-pronged plan, to be announced in the coming months, will include recommendations on everything from technology to the creation of innovative social services in NYCHA community centers, the construction of new housing units, the restoration of existing units, and a focus on improved public housing each helps to keep the Bronx affordable, reduces homelessness, and combats displacement. But low-income housing is not the only answer. We need to provide opportunities for our middle class and young professionals as well. I mean, what bar are we setting when we tell our city's youth to go out, get a good education, stay out of trouble, graduate, get a professional job, when we do not have the appropriate housing for them to return to? We must build more mixed income housing. We have to encourage economic diversity in our communities and keep our growing class of young professionals and their employment and income status right here in the Bronx. And I have the perfect location. One site in the South Bronx offers tremendous opportunity for such housing. In Port Morris, we've joined with the Empire State Development Corporation to examine the building of a platform over a 13-acre area at the Harlem River Yards. There, I believe we can create thousands of housing units and new amenities to complement them. We could also use this space to bring a tech incubator, a medical school to our borough, while also creating union jobs, new waterfront access, parkland, and recreation facilities. The health of our borough is slowly improving, and we have seen some success in building a healthier borough through partnerships with the public and private sector. In many cases, we are bringing health services right to your doorsteps. Take the St. Barnabas Wellness, Care, and Affordable Housing Project, for instance, which will combine more than 300 affordable homes and new health amenities such as on-site pediatric and women's health centers, in and outdoor fitness areas, and even a yoga studio. This collaboration would put healthcare and fitness options in people's homes and represents a new paradigm for the combination of life and wellness. We've also teamed up with nonprofits such as the Bronx River Community Center to bring in new services such as a dental and health clinic on a monthly basis. Now, our participation and engagement there has helped increase attendance at the community center by 100%. We are partnering with the Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Jacobi Medical Center to bring a peer-to-peer HIV/AIDS education jobs training program to the Taft High School campus. Get a load of this. This program, called HIV&Me, has already been recognized as a bright idea by the prestigious Harvard Innovations in American Government Awards and could be a model for the entire city of New York. Last month, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced the selection of New York State to participate in a nationwide pilot program to allow Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program participants to purchase their groceries online. With Congressmember Sean Patrick Maloney, I see Jose Serrano in the audience here, and our partners in the New York State Congressional Delegation, we were able to convince the USDA to allow New York to set an example for the entire nation. Now, you may recall I first proposed this new initiative in my State of the Borough address last year, and we made it happen. Thank you, Congressman. So now, using SNAP benefits online, just like you would a credit or a debit card, would expand access to healthier groceries and is a national game changer. Some predicted changes at the national level under this president. You know his name. Trump. Some say that those would be far less favorable to the Bronx. And I say this because an estimated 300,000 Bronxites are at risk of losing coverage with the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Now, make no mistake, we will fight to protect health care for all New Yorkers. At the local level, we need to continue to make changes that affect well-being, and the city must also provide us with the resources that we deserve. We also need a more equitable transportation system. That is why I stand with the Community Service Society, the Riders Alliance, and my fellow borough presidents, as well as other advocates, in calling on the city to embrace the Fair Fares campaign and provide half-price transit fares to the working poor. A Metro card and Metro card rates should not act as a regressive tax on the poor. I believe that for a relatively small investment, considering the size of the overall city budget, we can make the lives of hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers significantly better and give our neediest commuters a helping hand out of poverty. Additionally, on transportation, my colleague on Staten Island, Jimmy Otto, and I have begun a campaign to expand city bike services to all 5 boroughs and to infuse the bike sharing program with taxpayer funding. The administration has stated publicly that City Bike must be expanded to the Bronx, and yet we still lack this service. Public funding would lead to increased private capital for the system and would finally make the city in City Bike mean something. It is also time for the city and state, as well as public and private organizations, to bring the planning stages for the ambitious Tri-Borough Line subway expansion that has been proposed by the Regional Plan Association. Think about it. A new subway line would connect Brooklyn, Queens, and the Boogie Down Bronx into the existing transit system. All of this is good, and no matter how much housing and infrastructure we build here, our borough will never, ever achieve its full potential until our public school system provides our children with the education they require to succeed. Madam Public Advocate, however, we have had significant achievements when it comes to education in the Bronx. This year we initiated Code Bronx with our partner Code Interactive. Our goal there is to introduce coding to every single school so that our students can master this important and highly marketable skill for the modern economy. We are also engaging our parents in their school communities through the Bronx Fathers Taking Action Initiative. The High School for American Studies at Lehman College, watch this one, was named the best public high school in the entire city of New York and one of the best in the entire nation. The Bronx Center for Science and Mathematics on Fulton Avenue is one of the highest ranked schools in the city. Students there have achieved and received the prestigious Posse Scholarship, and 98% of the graduates go on to college or university. Some even go on to Ivy League schools. At the Bronx Academy for Software Engineering, students learn coding and obtain coveted internships. And 100% of this year's graduating class has already applied to college. Right here on this beautiful campus, we have schools that place students in internships ranging from engineering to the arts. Students here graduate at high rates. They take college-level courses and win distinguished scholarships. However, there's still so much work that we all need to do. It reminds me of a scene of one of my favorite movies, A Bronx Tale. Many of you know The Bronx Tale. In this movie, Sonny famously tells C that the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Listen to me now, because a shocking 74% of all Bronx students grades 3 through 8 are not proficient in reading or writing. That means only about 1 in 4 are at grade level. The picture is equally dismal for math. And despite the much touted improved graduation rates in the city and the state, the Bronx is left behind with a graduation rate of just 63%. Many of those graduates are not prepared to go off to college. Did you know that only 37% of high school students citywide meet CUNY's college readiness standards in English and in math? This disparity must end. We cannot continue to see talent wasted. The time to give our students and our children the education they deserve is now. The school planning and siting process must be fixed. The DOE relies on lagging indicators like outdated census data and does not sufficiently take into account new rezonings and the imminent residential construction. An analysis by Class Size Matters found that more than 55,000 Bronx children were sitting in overcrowded classrooms. Additionally, the city is failing to fund the number of school seats the DOE admits are needed. In August, I wrote a letter to Mayor de Blasio requesting that he convene a commission to examine this issue. I still await on his response. Our children are also being denied the opportunity to achieve at the highest level. The DOE forgoes gifted classes for our youngest students with no credible explanation given. Then, when our middle schoolers fail to make our specialized high schools, the same agency feigns incredulity. Perhaps if they expose more of our students to a higher level classwork at an earlier age, more of them would be prepared for the work by the time they got to high school. But we are working and we will develop solutions. I say this because last month I announced the launch of a specialized high school task force with my Brooklyn counterpart, Eric Adams. We will hear from parents and educators from across the city on this issue and all of the issues that are keeping our children from attending Bronx Science, Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, and other educational environments. Environments that nurture gifted students to achieve their full potential. Fairness demands that we change the status quo, not just in schools, but in our criminal justice system too. We will pursue the appropriate legislative and administrative measures for more judges in the Bronx. The DA likes that. Where the courts are well known to be overburdened and where we do not have the judicial resources we are due under the law. We collectively must work together to raise the age. at which nonviolent offenders are tried as adults from 16 to 18. We should not condemn our children to the adult justice system. The city, for instance, has proposed putting $170 million into the Horizon Juvenile Detention Center in the Hub. How is it sensible policy to spend these sums on locking up our adolescents when the city refuses to fund the surrounding schools at appropriate levels? How can we in good conscience look parents in the eye and tell them we're going to put tens of millions of dollars into the expansion of a detention center without parity for their neighborhood schools? Another issue that demands our urgent attention is mental health. Mental illness transcends institutions, from the criminal justice system to the educational system, and requires better citywide solutions. For instance, what happened to Deborah Danner was wrong. Her tragic death highlights the challenges involved with the policies and practices regarding first responders confronting mental illness. For decades, the city has not done nearly enough to provide mental health services to those who need them. This lack of assistance for a vulnerable population is unsustainable, and we applaud New York City's First Lady, Chirlane McCray, for her leadership on this. Let's give her a strong round of applause. The first instance of treatment for an individual with mental health issues should not be a prison. That's why I'm calling on city departments of education and health to conduct an assessment of how mental health services in our schools can be improved to better reach students in need. It is a matter of citywide urgency and of importance, and we need to get that done now. A holistic approach requires us, all of us, to meet these challenges with compassion, not force. You all know that thing, compassion. It seems to be lacking these days, doesn't it? It has been replaced by derision and divisiveness. The sometimes unhinged, often dangerous rhetoric we hear from Washington, from the new president, is a threat to all we have accomplished. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Trump administration has been his hateful remarks and policies on immigrants. We have heard reports of plans of mass deportation, an absurd Muslim registry, and of course, this oh so famous wall. You know, the one that Mexico is supposed to pay for? But I guess that's alternative facts. Like many of you, I've heard real concerns from many of our neighbors. I mean, people are afraid of their families being torn apart. Let us not forget that 40% of Bronx residents were born in another country. And we embrace this diversity wholeheartedly. Without our amazing immigrant population, we would not be what we are today. I mean, where would we be without people like Inspector Stevenson of the 47th Precinct? An immigrant from Jamaica who has reestablished community trust in the NYPD in the Northeast Bronx after it was shattered with the tragic death of Ramarley Graham. Where would we be without my dear departed friend Alfredo Thibault, an immigrant from Nicaragua who built the iconic Delicioso Coco Helado from a single pushcart. into a business that has employed thousands of entrepreneurs, many, like himself, who just needed a chance. And where would we be without people like Kadiatu Diallo, born in Guinea, who turned the tragedy of the death of her son Amadou into a driving force for social change. Ms. Diallo, please stand up and take a flower for us. And where would we be without a pioneer like Adriano Espaillat, who rose from humble beginnings as an undocumented immigrant to become the first ever Dominican American elected to the United States Congress. You see, the immigrant story and our success are deeply intertwined. And yes, New York City is a sanctuary city, and we are proud of that designation. And New York has the opportunity to cement its status as a sanctuary state by extending additional protections and passing the Liberty Act. This borough, our borough, and this city will remain a welcoming home for all people, including our immigrant population. No matter how high the level of hatred and invective rises in Washington. Nekedi Malice, do not yield to evil, reads our official Bronx seal, and we shall not. President Trump would do himself well to proceed according to the guiding words of another Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, who said, "With malice towards none, with charity for all." The Bronx story is one of new immigrant populations and resiliency. Our borough demands attention and sensible, well-considered national urban policy that adequately provides opportunity here as we grow. Now, I will continue to tirelessly advocate for Bronxites and for true equity and prosperity for all New Yorkers. We must all stop Washington's anti-immigrant agenda. Because most of us, if not all of us, are descendants of immigrants who arrived in this great country for a new start and opportunity. We all need and we will make our voices heard. Nos van a tener que escuchar. However, we must not simply isolate ourselves from those who are different from us. We must engage in debate and refute opposing points of views with logic and fact, rather than ad hominem attacks. For the good of our democracy, we must be willing to engage with those with whom we disagree. I say this because everywhere today, we see examples of our own echo chambers. You see, we are not prepared to be uncomfortable. Yet, inclusion and unity demands not only acceptance and tolerance, but also that we break out of our silos and avoid self-segregation. We talk a lot about DC, but just like the national level, local politics will often choose vitriol over consensus. I mean, look at the nature of the conversation around public and charter schools that ignores a sensible middle ground. Or the near permanent tension between shelter operators and the neighborhoods where shelters are being built. This division is not good for any of us, and it does not strengthen our great city at a time in which, more than ever before, we must support each other. It was the namesake of this building, President John F. Kennedy, who, by the way, spent his childhood years just a few blocks from here in Riverdale, who said, "Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer." He said, "Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future." In keeping with these wise words, let us make divisiveness a thing of the past and make solidarity our agenda for the future. We must support one another for the health of the city and for the greater good of our nation. We must do more to listen to each other's voices. We need not be so polarizing. Look, charter and public schools serve the same population. There is a human face to homelessness. We can develop a plan to eradicate chronic poverty and promote prosperity. We can create an environment that works for both job creators and their workers. We can innovate through green development in a way that benefits both landlords and their tenants. In this great city of ours, we can unite and flourish together. It was the great civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Let us be those creative dissenters who will call upon our beloved nation to a higher destiny, to a new plateau of compassion, to a more noble expression of humanness." That is the work of our time. We are at our best when we work together. Yes, we can disagree, but we must be civil in our disagreement. Our best way forward is to thrive through collaboration, good-spirited competition, and cooperation. And we will flourish together, and our success will be that of our beautiful Bronx and our great city. Thank you, and God bless you.